Hello and welcome to a channel update for June and July 2025, and something a bit different for the update. Not exactly a road trip, but I'm away for a couple of weeks heading north. I'll take you with me. First stop is here at Grafham Water. Where it's decided to rain, and that has prevented me from finishing a couple of films which I started here last year. I'll have another go in the morning. Morning. It is day 2 of my trip, which I've given the title North by Northeast. Man flu is still here, but what a change in the weather. I'm going to swap one silly hat for another silly hat, and then I'm going to go and have breakfast down at the water's edge. I'll do a quick tour of the campsite on the way. Breakfast is something of a recent habit. When I was working, I was actually working in European time, which meant that lunch arrived an hour early. As I had to start work at the same time as everyone else in Europe, I had to leave the house about 6 in the morning. So breakfast during my working life was quite often no more than drive-through coffee. Day after Easter Monday, and day after a busy bank holiday weekend, it's the best time to be on a club campsite. The title for this trip, North by Northeast, is inspired by Alfred Hitchcock, one of my great heroes. This might be the spot. I'll join you again a bit later on today. I've got a bit more filming to do for the other series I mentioned earlier on.
Victory Avenue for 1 mile.
It's a couple of hours later on my north by northeast trip. I've left Grafham Water and I've come up to Clumber Park. And as this channel update is something of a look behind the scenes on one of my trips, I'd say 2 hours is about a normal drive for me. It looks like the bike is well catered for. And the first time I've seen a specific bike lock-up. Excellent idea. The staff were keen to point out the lock-up. I'm not sure if there's been a specific problem or if it's just policy to do so. It's also handy if it rains. Yeah, so 2 hours would be a typical drive for me. If I do stop, I tend to choose a supermarket or retail park. I find them much more relaxing. Not to mention better value. I should also say I have a deep loathing of motorway services. In this country anyway. My tea being far better than anyone else's, of course. So I find with the shorter driving day that it gives me a lot of time to explore what would normally just be a stopover. Grafham's a good example of that. I've been there many times since my first stopover, and it's resulted in some films for the channel, of course, as well. Now I know of Clumber Park. I think I may have stopped here for a walk at some stage in the past, but I've never actually camped here, and I'm looking forward to exploring the area. So what I'm going to do is take the bike out for an hour or two. I won't do any more commentary today because the throat is starting to hurt a bit. Man flu. So I'm going to cut some scenery from the local area with a bit of music thrown in, and also some scenery from Grafham. I probably won't take the whole camera kit with me this afternoon. It'll be much more of an informal tour. I'll speak to you again tomorrow, a couple of hours further on north, and I'll be staying in Durham for 3 nights. I'll explain more about why when I get there. It's the day after. I've moved on to Durham. Gravelly voice and man flu have receded a little, and I'm in search of water and bins. Almost a comedy moment of knocking the camera over. So I really enjoyed my visit to Clumber Park. I'll definitely go back. I think the question in my mind is that's quite a big site and it probably gets pretty busy. So it might be the kind of place to go to very much out of season. So as I said, I've moved on to Durham and I'm here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to visit the WWT reserve at Washington. As part of my quest to visit all of the WWT reserves in the UK, and this being the second to last. I booked 3 nights here. That was to give me 2 full days just in case the weather didn't play ball. As it turns out, both days I'm here seem to be quite good for filming, which means if I do the reserve tomorrow, that gives me a day clear in the area, or I could change my plans and go somewhere else. That is the advantage of booking club sites, there is some flexibility in your plans. So I'm having a bit of a chill afternoon. I'm doing some editing of the video of this update. I probably won't leave the site until heading out for the reserve tomorrow. I'll speak to you again at some stage tomorrow, either at the reserve or just after. Can't edit this video and film myself at the same time. Who wears sunglasses and a hat when they're editing anyway? What an absolute belter of a reserve. If you want something done properly, come to the northeast. I know I'm trying hard to avoid saying a favourite. I've still got one left to go. At Washington, that was a surprise. Now you may have noticed an elephant in the room. Or should I say bicycle in the bathroom, bicycle in the kitchen, bicycle in the lounge, bicycle in the bedroom. Oh, I've got a bike in my van as well. There's no bike lock-up at the Durham campsite, and I can't really leave it there when I'm out for the day. And that's where the bike can become a bit of a burden on a trip like this. However, Durham is the only stop on my trip where I haven't planned some cycling activity. Getting the bike into the van and getting the van ready to go is the same amount of work if it's a 10-minute trip or a 100-mile drive. And today was pretty much a 10-minute drive, which gives me a bit of a dilemma. Do I want to do all of that again tomorrow to have another day out? Because from Durham campsite there are no obvious walks or cycle paths. It's on the interchange of the A1 and they're all very busy roads. Keep your seatbelt on. So I need to come up with a plan for tomorrow. If I change campsites, I'd still have to do all of this anyway. And I really like the area. So I've noticed there is a park and ride right next to the campsite, which offers the opportunity of a visit to Durham itself. And I haven't done a city walk for a while. As I recall from my one and only visit to Durham, I think there's a very attractive cathedral, so a trip into the city could be on the cards. Now, I don't want to take the van to the park and ride, it's just a couple hundred yards away from the campsite, but apparently high vehicles can get in. The issue being, as I said earlier on, it is an A1 interchange and very busy. There doesn't seem to be an obvious footpath. I'm going to check it out on the way back and see if the campsite staff can suggest anything. I'll speak to you again tomorrow, let you know what happens. Quality content on this channel as ever. So it's the day after and my final day here in Durham. I had a fantastic walk around the city, notably the cathedral. Park and ride service was very efficient, just a couple of quid for a return trip, and with an enlightened policy they allow high vehicles onto the car park. And that means, yes, I did take the van in the end. My reasoning was that I shall need supplies for the next week where I'm away somewhere quite remote. So I found a retail park quite close by and stocked up in preparation. So for the next week or so I can rely on local shops and cycling, which is the way I prefer it. I'm going to bring this update to an end. What I'm going to do is create some space in the schedule and film a second part of this north by northeast trip. And in that second part I'll say what's coming up next on the channel. But before I go, here's some scenery and stills from my visit to the city earlier on today. I have been your avuncular host. Thanks for watching.